Fiancé claims he loves me but his actions show differently. I need advice. Fiancé claims he loves me, however his actions show everything but. I am 25F, engaged to fiancé, 25M. We met in college, 4 years ago, and after we graduated he moved to Georgia and I moved back home to NY because I couldn't find work in Georgia. We got engaged almost 2 years ago while still doing this long distance. Months after our engagement my fiancé started to express that he would love for me to move to Georgia because the distance was getting hard and he wanted to be together. He would also claim things like distance was holding us back because we were spending so much money traveling to see each other. He would basically say we can't do nice things now because all our money is going to flights and visiting each other, but if we move in together we can save money and do the fun stuff you enjoy. He felt it would be better for me to live in Georgia because he wanted to be there to start his own business. I was skeptical because I couldn't find a job there as I had previously looked, applied to many and ended up staying in New York because I couldn't find anything. He then reassured me not to worry about work opportunities because his dad owns a company and I could work for him if anything. I had a good job in New York at the time and an upcoming interview for a company I really wanted to work for. But I ended up saving my money for the remainder of the year, quit my job that summer and moved to Georgia. I feel so dumb. I'm now convinced that my fiancé only cares about himself. He loves the thought of us together but I don't feel like he loves me. I moved to a place where I have no friends, family or job only to be ignored and feel down about myself. We aren't doing any of those fun things we should have the money to do now that we're not always traveling to see each other, but we don't. My fiancé has a major spending issues. He spent $2,000 the week before my birthday on random things and then didn't do anything for my b-day. Not one balloon or a cupcake. I told him that at least if we lived in a place where I had friends I could depend on them to fill these gaps, but I don't, so I look to him. He's all I have here. He doesn't try to get involved in anything I like or enjoy. He lies all the time. For example, he will say something is taken care of and then I will find evidence that it's not. Or if I ask him to take part in activity he doesn't want to, he will simply say he can't afford it, even though he usually can. I feel stupid for sacrificing so much for someone who is basically not who they say they are. I'm not sure if he was just trying to impress me or was scared to lose me, but I'm so angry. He hasn't come through for one Christmas or birthday. Last Christmas he gave me a boat a day I fucked up fully decorated box saying I was going to Jamaica, but he hadn't and never booked the trip. Why lie? Why not get me something you can actually get? And this hurts because I went all out with my own money to try to make his Christmas the best ever. Same with his birthdays, while I spent my birthday alone singing happy b-day to myself. And he always has an excuse on why he can't come through. When we were long distance the excuse was that he was spending all his money coming to see me. Now the excuse is always something new. It's not about the gifts themselves, but it's just the thought. I want to feel considered and loved. My fiancé is into sports, so I learned how to watch sports and even know the players/rules now, so we can talk about whatever sport we're watching because I love him. I'm into holidays like Halloween and haven't ever been able to get him to dress up. He always says next year. Also don't expect anything from him that I can't provide myself. I used to throw myself birthday parties etc, so for him to do nothing on my birthday hurt. I also have a really good group of friends who have given me some of the best memories, from surprise parties to trips, so I feel like I'm definitely settling in this relationship. If he sees me crying he won't even ask what's wrong or anything. He just gets upset that I'm upset. Planning our wedding was miserable because during every part of the process he wanted to go with what he thought his friends like most, which I found strange. For example, I'd planned a preceding activity and he asked me to cancel it because his friends aren't into that? Not to mention that it doesn't help that his family is so involved in our relationship. If we get in a fight his whole family is on Facebook writing subliminal messages about love. His uncle will call me to talk it out. His dad will call me. It's too much. I needed to vent. I feel like I've given up too much and it's making me feel like shit. Worthless. He will tell me he loves me a million times a day, but whenever it comes time for the action to show it, it never does. It's mentally exhausting. Too long didn't read. My fiancé will tell me he loves me 100 times a day verbally but never has the actions to match that. Why haven't you dumped his selfish ass and moved back to where you are happy and successful? He sucks, big time. So his actions are a lot more telling than his promises and words to you are. And on top of that, when you talk about your relationship with him you sound absolutely miserable. Move back and move on with your life. Do not think that marrying him will solve anything. It is miserable to know you've gave your all to something only to get nothing back in return except hurt feelings. He sounds terrible. Please move back home and find somebody worth your time. Actions speak way louder than words. He is telling you what you want to hear because he knows it keeps you around. His actions aren't lining up now. They never will either. He is not going to change. Actions speak louder than words. Words are cheap. You are feeling like shit. It won't get any better. Do you want to be trapped in a marriage like that? He does not love you, doesn't even like you very much. He's stingy and thoughtless. He's a liar. He's lazy and selfish. Suggestion: call a friend in NY and ask if you can visit for a couple days. Pack a bag, book a flight, and go. Break off the engagement and do it on a Facebook so his whole family gets the message simultaneously. Marrying this guy and his family is a dreadful idea, and you already know this. He disrespects and disregards you on a daily basis. His incessant, fake I love yous have made you doubt all the evidence that not only does he not love you, he treats you like crap. You've got to get away from him. His continual lying has made you unsure what is true and what's not. Go back to NY. Talk to people who actually give a damn about you. Realize how very unhappy you are, and what an unsuitable husband this guy will make. There's a much happier life available you. And this awful guy is nowhere in it. GF, 26F, tried to prank me, 28M. GF calls me early in the day while I'm at work and says she feels like someone is in the house with her and that her basement window was wide open. Tells me she didn't see anything, and that she's not worried about it. After work I am making my way to her house and trying to get a hold of her, and no answer. I wait outside. I left my keys at work, until she begins to text me that someone is in the house. She can't talk, front door is open, help. So I run to the front door and swing the doors open to see a knife and blood spread out on the floor. I'm having a full-blown panic attack at this point, and start calling 911 while I walk inside and yell hello! Exclamation mark. She comes out laughing hysterically while I'm on the phone with the operator. Needless to say, the operator and I were not impressed. Too long didn't read. I also deal with panic disorder and GAD, and this just triggered it so much. Am I out of line for being upset about this? This sounds extremely fucked up and cruel. Not funny in the slightest. I had a similar experience with an ex who pranked me to believe that my cat was dead. Difference was that the prank went overnight, with me crying on the couch, and the fact that she was remorseful for a few minutes. When she understood that I wasn't pleased and I wasn't letting it go instantly, she dropped the mask and started saying, "It's just a cat, you are overreacting." Break up on the spot. What kind of people do these things? At least your GF seems genuinely remorseful, but don't let people tell you that you are overreacting. That is not a prank, and no sane adult would think it was. You learned something valuable about who she is. Now you have to decide if you want to be with such a person. It's an incredibly cruel prank for her to let you think she was murdered, and it's even worse because she knows you have a panic disorder. Your girlfriend is an asshole. Absolutely not out of line in being very upset, but I'm interested in what happened next. When you told her, as I'm assuming you did, how scared and upset you were, how triggering her prank was to your panic disorder and anxiety, how totally unacceptable this was, and how you needed nothing like it to ever happen again for any reason, how did she respond? Did she take it seriously? Did she acknowledge that her choice was cruel, and why? Apologize sincerely, and promise to never do it again? Did she take steps to care for you as you sorted out your anxiety response? Anything less would be a sign to back away from this relationship immediately. Additionally, I'd be interested in whether this mean, selfish streak has showed up before. Has she shown signs of finding other people's real fear funny before? How does she usually perceive your mental illnesses, and does she generally provide meaningful support? Does she have a habit of disregarding the needs of others or failing to empathize or understand the impact of her choices on the people around her? You don't need to provide answers to these, but you should use them as a starting point for considering whether she's a partner you can trust and feel safe with. What I'm hoping is that this is a total one-off, a complete mistake, that she's never made similar choices in the past, and that she's very apologetic. If that's not the case, you have tough decisions to make. My 29F husband, 30M, is spending all our money on video games, guitar pedals, and magic cards. Help. This is a typical spender/saver dilemma, so I'd be interested in hearing from others who have this relationship dynamic and what you've done to address it. Husband and I have been in relationship for 9 years, married for 3.5. My husband and I make similar incomes at our various jobs, approximately $70,000 each. Where we live, that's reasonably good money. Not the best, but certainly not the worst. And we're currently dinks, so saving should be a breeze, right? Not so. Recently I began tallying our monthly expenditures. We found out our food/booze spend is absolutely outrageous and are cutting back accordingly. But another area I noticed is his hobby spending, which I think is higher than what is considered normal. He will spend in the realm of hundreds to thousands a month on hobby spending. The highest I've ever seen was $2,500 in a month. He usually justifies it to me by showing how some of his collectibles appreciate in value. One game he bought for $20 is now worth $1,000, for example. Problem is, I know as well as he does that he will never sell anything to recoup some of the costs. We've talked about it so many times and he acknowledges it's a problem, but we never seem to get anywhere. Last night he bought a $300 guitar pedal because it was on sale, so he couldn't pass it up. Obviously, in addition to about $200 he already spent video games this month. As always, he said it was the last time. I promise. It's never the last time. I'm becoming resentful because he's 30 and I'm turning 30 in a few months. We have life goals, such as buying a house and having kids, but it seems like a pipe dream if we can't save anything. He says he wants those things too, but doesn't take the necessary action to get there. In addition to this, I feel like I can never treat myself to anything nice because husband uses up all the fun money and then some. My clothes are turning into rags because I haven't bought new ones in years. Hair is a mess because I haven't gotten it cut in over a year. And I skip out on essential health appointments, like going to the dentist, for example, because I'm constantly looking for ways to save money that I know he's going to spend. I understand that shopping can be an addiction and suspect he may be depressed. I suggested he partake in therapy to alleviate his depression. We've talked about him going to a psychiatrist, but that never goes anywhere. I also struggle with severe clinical depression and am on medication. It helps so much, and I've told him as much. Anyway, just frustrated and at my wit's end with regard to how to proceed. Curious if others who've been in similar situations have tips/advice. Too long didn't read. Husband has a spending problem and allocates too much of our monthly budget to hobbies. Not getting anywhere financially, and it's causing deep stress and resentment. Looking for advice from others who've been in this situation. Update: thank you everyone for replying with advice. Haven't been able to respond to all the comments as I've been busy at a small family event for Halloween. After reading all the comments, I'm realizing that both husband and I could benefit from financial literacy education. Having separate accounts, while a seemingly simple solution, is not something I ever considered. Sometimes the solution is right in front of your nose but you can't see it. This is definitely one of those situations. I'm also going to look into couples counseling. I love this man very much and want to try everything I can before throwing in the towel. At the end of the day, he is a good, kind person. And those can be hard to find, at least in my dating experience. As some have mentioned, it's true to a degree that I've enabled the behavior by not setting clear boundaries or standing up for myself. Every time I bring it up, he laughs it off and makes some silly joke to minimize the situation. I've always been too conflict averse to engage him seriously on the issue. I never get mad. I get sad, withdraw, and become apathetic. I definitely need to be assertive and show him it's not a laughing matter and that this behavior is hurting me. He is a caring individual and I do think he'd make more of an effort if I did a better job of articulating the impacts of his overspending. While I generally don't believe in ultimatums, it's probably important for him to understand that this could be a relationship-ending issue if he refuses to get on board with a savings plan.